everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where today we got some more big MLB free agency, Toronto Blue Jays rumors, updates, news, whatever you want to call it. We're in on a guy, and we gotta break it down. I'm your host, Nicholas Playalong.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, that guy is Cody Bellinger. We've had some rumors trickle over from last week over to this week, but this week, it seems like the deal of Cody Bellinger coming to the Toronto Blue Jays, that deal is seeming more and more likely. There's a lot of people on Twitter right now talking about how Cody Bellinger could be coming over to the Blue Jays on a multi-year deal, a one-year deal. We're going to look all at it, folks.
The speculation is insane
Incredible.
right now, dude. I looked up, because, you know, we're obviously always combing the internet for Blue Jays news, so we looked up Blue Jays news on Google, and I swear to God, guys, the first 10, 15, 20 articles that pop up is Bellinger to the Jays, where will Bellingers go? Jays linked. Like, it's just like, it's consistently like,
Dude,
Cody Bellinger is the man.
And it's
right
not
now.
even Toronto news outlets. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everyone's talking
Everywhere.
about Bellinger to the Jays.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like the perfect fit. We've been linked to him for the last, 4 days now, it feels. Ever since he became a free agent, it's been Jays, 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 Jays.
Yeah.
And today, we heard some stuff on Twitter from multiple sources
Hundreds.
talking
Yeah.
about how we are going to get him soon.
Yes.
Let's
yeah.
take a look right now
Let's
here, folks.
dive right in here, guys. So obviously there was the big thing that came out from John Morosi. This was earlier today, 10:37 a.m., November 21st of this year. Source: Hashtag Blue Jays reached out to Cody Bellinger's camp to express interest after he was non-tendered. The Jays' interest was expected based on their prior trade conversations with the Dodgers. So, there is a lot to break down
Yes,
right there.
100%.
First off, we obviously need to just look at that Teoscar Hernandez trade and just factor that into this whole conversation and say, well, okay, like, would this be happening had we not done that? Probably not. Two, and this is something that I want to hear some pushback on you from, or some thoughts on this, was not only did we reach out to him after he was non-tendered, but we had interest in trade conversations. That's a little tidbit of information there.
I did figure we were going to be in on trade conversations, because if he was tendered, I think that we were in on him anyways. There was a lot of conversations. Now, I think this actually works out better for the Toronto Blue Jays that we get him on the free agency market.
I agree.
We can name our price.
Yeah.
We can give him more than 1 year, because if you trade Teoscar Hernandez and then you bring on Bellinger, well, you're kind of getting a 1-year deal regardless. But this is a lot better. And he could be very well cheaper. We're going to look at that price tag a little later, but it could be a lot cheaper. What do you think?
I mean, I think it speaks a lot to what is going on here. The fact that there were internal conversations going on between both sides where we were on the phone, like, actually talking about, we are willing to give up, you know, this player and that player for Cody Bellinger, right? Like, this is something that's been in the works for a minute now. So, yeah, I think we're interested in paying the money, and it speaks a lot to what our whole offseason game plan here is, that we're ready to Dude, shift off players.
We're not fricking around, boys and girls. We are here to play. We just recorded a podcast. We talked about this. Like, we are here, and we're serious.
Yeah.
No one's safe. We want to improve this team anyway. The Blue Jays think Cody Bellinger is the man. We're going to look a lot more at stats a little bit later, but I think it's important that we talk about just the actual news that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So this is the most credible source here, guys.
Yeah.
Most credible blue check mark, not paid, not Twitter blue or whatever the hell Elon Musk is calling it nowadays. But then you have this guy over here, Mike Boba. Or Boba? I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Boba. People call him Boba Bombs.
Okay.
Apparently he just dropped a Boba bomb. Now this guy, if you look at his Twitter, he does announce a lot of different things, and all of them are true.
Right.
He then announced this, breaking Cody Bellinger to the Blue Jays on a multi-year deal per source.
Okay, yeah. And we do need to, you know, really qualify this by saying, I don't want to spread fake news. I don't want to say something that's not real. So we are literally just messaging what this guy is saying. I don't know if this is true. We're going to break it down and we're going to talk about it. This kind of set Twitter into a bit of a frenzy.
Oh, this
and
definitely
this is
did.
why we have 186 people watching right now, so shout out to all of you legends right now. Please, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are going to be following along the Blue Jays offseason and all of MLB offseason, and I promise you, you guys will not regret it. We'll try to shout you out as the names pop up. But this guy has made some credible claims in the past. Looking back at that John Morosi tweet, we were interested in trading for Cody Bellinger. We apparently reached out to him directly after he was non-tendered. That is from a credible source. That is what we know 100%.
Absolutely.
This guy, the only really new information that this guy is telling us is that it could be a multi-year deal.
A multiple-year deal. Absolutely.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I personally think, I mean, look, Cody Bellinger, his agent is Scott Boras. Okay, and if we've seen anything that passed from Scott Boras type players, Marcus Simeon, is that he's going to go for a big 1 year deal. Prove it now. Big as in the most he could possibly get. I don't see him touching 20 at all. Not at all. After you can't get to 18, you basically set the market.
Well, we'll break down.
We'll break it all down.
Exactly what we did. The contract.
But that's what I'm thinking. It's like you want to stack up the money now, prove it, and if you can't, well then you're out of luck. But I do believe an option like Mike is saying here. Look, if it's a multi-year deal, but there's opt-out options. Let's say, look, Cody Bellinger, let's be frank. He's going to be 4 years removed coming into 2023 from his MVP years. All the 3 years before have been bad. If you do flop on the first year of your deal, maybe you can figure it out in the second year of your deal. Or, in the best case scenario, you pop off for 2 years. Now, instead of getting like 100 to 200 million, you get like 300, 400. Right? So it depends on how they want to play it. What do you think?
Okay. Can we go back to the camera view of us right now for this one? I really gotta tell these people this just to their faces right now and to you. Okay, I don't want to spend and burn any more millions of dollars like we have with Yusei Kikuchi and so many other different players. Everybody.
Okay. Well, what if it's a 1 year deal? A 1 year deal, and let's say it's like 10 million average annual value, which we're going to look at a little later, but that's the idea of how much you'll get paid.
Listen, I'm good with signing Cody Bellinger. I just think that the Blue Jays need to approach this intelligently, and that term, multi-year, as much as it excites me, because it's like, oh my God, like the fan in me immediately goes upside, ceiling. We're gonna turn him into the MVP of old. It's also very possible that he could hit 203 again and absolutely suck. So that's something I want to avoid. So multi-year, I get scared, I get excited, I got a lot of emotions. 1 year, though. Now that's a little bit more intriguing to me. 1 year, and we can talk about average annual value about that 1 year later, but we've seen time and time again, players, when it is the year before they make their big payday, or what they expect to be their big payday, the year before that, they play their best ball. And this is not just baseball. This is every single sport. This is football, soccer, hockey, you name it. They play their best game at that point. You bring Cody Bellinger, you bring him on a 1 year deal, you bring him to the Rogers Center, you put him in this lineup. He knows that he could get paid major if he really pops off. I think that's when you start to play his best ball. You give him 2 or 3 years, I feel like he gets comfortable, and God only knows. We've seen what he does when he gets comfortable.
Well, fair enough. Very fair. Well, let me throw it to you this way. Okay, what if he's not? If Cody Bellinger is the last addition that we'll ever make to our outfield the rest of the offseason, that will suck, right? That will not be good. That is not satisfying enough, right? But if we bring on someone, not saying at this point we'd also get Brandon Nimmo. I've seen a lot of people out there saying if we get Bellinger, we also get Nimmo, which I say that very highly unlikely. I feel like we do like a little bit of a platoon thing there in the outfield. But do you think if we add Bellinger and another bat that's more proven and better, do you like that combination better or worse?
Like better, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, it's like, let's get 2 good players. And I mean, of course I like that.
Right. But then if you pay both Cody Bellinger a prove-it year right now for like $15 million 1 year.
Yeah.
But he's like our 4th outfielder now.
Yeah. I mean,
you still like that?
Well, okay.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, he would need playing time. And I think that a guy like Cody Bellinger, and this is something that's going to be negotiated in his contract, I don't think he signs with the Toronto Blue Jays if he's the 4th outfielder.
Right,
He
right.
wouldn't
He
do
wants
that,
every
right?
day.
Because it's like, if you're Scott Boras, you got to say, my guy needs to get played
play.
every day, so then he can get his big payday next year. So if he's Cody Bellinger and there's any risk of that happening, he doesn't do it.
Right,
I
right.
think if we bring on Cody Bellinger, and this is a scary thought, I do think he's going to be an everyday player, and then I think that we're going to be out on the Brandon Nimmo's of the world. I think that we'll probably still bring in another outfielder, but look to have that be maybe an internal thing. Maybe
Well,
it's
you still got Whit Merrifield too.
it could be a Whit Merrifield thing. Maybe it's a much, it would be maybe more in the line of like a Bradley Zimmer sort of guy, right? It's like, it would not be a guy like that would be the fourth outfielder.
Right, right.
Cody Bellinger, I think he plays every day if he's on the Toronto Blue Jays, guys.
And that is kind of scary. Like, look, if it's gonna happen that way, that's the way it's gonna be. For me, I've said 1,000 times. Batting, that lineup is not the issue. Like, if we could plug in a maybe upside MVP Cody Bellinger on a prove-it-year deal, and then we go out and spend what would have been $100+ million on Brandon Nimmo on a pitcher, we talked about it on another podcast, that would be really ideal for me, honestly. That'd be a great move. We get the bullpen from T.O., we replace it with a maybe upside Cody Bellinger, lefty as well, and then you use all that capital, which apparently we have a lot of, on some pitching.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. Guys, we got another tweet that we want to get to, but actually before we get to that one, please hit the subscribe button, folks, if you haven't already done so, and hit the like button, guys. We got a bunch of questions here. We will get to them at some point in this stream. Just a lot of news to break down. And actually, now I'm thinking about it, before we get to the next tweet, can we just take a moment just to refresh people's memories about what Cody Bellinger has done for us? And, we're talking a bit about, like, why we want him, why we don't want him, the risk
we're
and
going
everything.
off of this information.
This is what we are going off of here, everybody. I feel like most of you guys watching have a general idea, but just so you know, this guy, he hit 210 last year. The year before that, he hit 165. And the year before that, 239.
Yeah.
And the 3 years prior to doing that garbage were absolutely incredible.
Look, it's the 928 OPS.
Like, we're talking
3 years.
We're talking
first
Guerrero
3 years.
level,
Yes.
This
is what Vladdy was looking like.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
And so, do you have any fear? Like, what do you actually think if we were to bring on Cody Bellinger?
Oh my God.
What?
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I just had this thought right now, and this is going to be so biased, but let this thing sink in for a second. What if this was Guerrero?
I would hate it.
But no. But what if you're a different team? Like, I guess put yourselves in the mindset of somebody else. Like, I just thought of this as like, oh my God, like what if this was Vlad? Because I have connections to Vlad. I think about Vlad. Like, if Vlad put up another good year after this, and then went on to have 3 seasons of like bad.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about him at that point?
I would think exactly what I think about Cody
Same thing
Bellinger.
about
I just got to get rid of him now. I'd non-tender him.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if it'd be different because it's like
No.
when I think about Vladdy, I'm like, oh, like I love
no,
Vlad.
I
Like,
non-tender him. If he's batting 203, which I know I don't even need to look at it right now. I've already done a video on this. 203 in the last 3 years. Yeah, get the hell off my team. Like, you're nothing now. You're not worth it. You're going to be way overpaid.
Right.
Because your name is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But get off my team.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was saying before that whole thing there. But, yeah. I mean, I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think Cody Bellinger could possibly do if we brought him to the Toronto Blue Jays?
I mean, I think that because he's so young, everybody, and this is what is so enticing. Cody Bellinger is in such a unique situation. You just never see this. You just absolutely never see this. When you have a 3-year stretch, when you come into the league at 21 years old, and you have a 3-year stretch where you hit 928 OPS, you win an MVP, you win the Rookie of the Year, and you're on the LA Dodgers. When you do that, when you do all of those things, you never hit free agency.
No.
You never, ever hit free agency. We're in this weird spot, though, where he was literally the best of the best. Like, you're talking, like, this guy is, the next Bryce Harper. Like, this guy, like, he is going to be top tier Hall of Famer. And then he went to the worst of the worst. Like, literally a bench player. And it's just so polarizing that it makes it impossible to predict.
Yeah.
It makes it impossible to predict. So I think his ceiling and you can never take it away from him because it's not like there's any age problems here. There's not any injuries. His ceiling is he hits 305. He's got an OPS of 1.035, and he hits 47 home runs.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at what is Baseball Savant right here. If anyone is unfamiliar with this page, you got to check it out. It shows you what he's supposed to do. Okay, 2022, he struck out a lot. He did not have a good expected batting average. He did not walk a lot. But his one good attribute is he's a good outfielder. Good outfield jump.
Pretty fast,
good,
too.
Pretty fast and pretty good arm. Looks like a Jackie Bradley Jr. or Bradley Zimmer right here. That's all he's got going on. The year before, worse. Okay?
Oh, God.
A little bit more arm strength. 2020, this is pretty much a weird year. But that's the funny thing, too. 2020 is short sample size, but really good.
What the hell?
2019.
And then,
like, these look like Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, guys?
Like, literally. It's like...
What happened?
And I don't know.
Well, for those who don't know, he changed the swing, changed everything, and he's striking out a crap load more. This doesn't instill me with a lot of confidence he's going to be anything good. So that's why, personally, if we can get him on like a 10-year, no, it's not 10-year, $10 million.
It's like,
10-year, no. $10 million for 1 year?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all he's worth to me.
Yeah.
He's not worth more than that.
10-year, $1 million.
Or 10
or
million.
1 year, $10 million. Excuse me. Yeah. $10 million, $1 million. I'm all for
it.
it.
Yeah,
man.
10 years.
Sign
He's
me
getting $100,000 per year.
Yo, well, here, okay, I mean, I know he's Cody Bellinger, very different, but like, totally derailing the conversation here for a second. I would sign a 10-year, $1 million with the Blue Jays.
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Sign me up, bro.
10-year, $1 million?
I'll like play water boy for you all day, every day.
Yeah,
like
100%.
for $100,000
a year.
$100,000 a year, absolutely. Yeah, Cody Bellinger obviously had it, and then he didn't have it, and now we're in this weird spot. We're gonna get to our next tweet in a second, but you were saying 10 million 1 year. I feel like, and maybe I'm ignorant about the market, I feel like that's not actually good enough.
Yeah, he's gonna want more.
I think that there's gonna be another team out there that doesn't have anything to lose.
Yep.
That's like, hey, you know what? We're not in the Nimmo conversation, but we could be in the Bellinger conversation. If he does pop off, damn, that's a lot of prospects that we can acquire, right? Like, I think I threw it out last time. Pittsburgh Pirates, something. Like,
what if you frame it this way? How about this? Because we were talking about earlier about playing time. I don't know. You give me your thoughts on this. I'm kind of questioning how I feel, but if you structure it this way, you have a base of like $10 million. It's like, oh, and if you hit over 20 home runs, you'll get a pay raise of $2.5 million. If you get 100 hits, you get a pay raise of this much.
Dude, I've been saying for time now, like, because football has those, again, derailing here, NFL has those incentives in your contract. And it just makes so much sense to me. Where it's like, hey, if you put up, like, if you were to hit, for instance, 30 home runs, guess what? You get 20 million now. And from a club standpoint, I'm like, please hit 30 home runs. You did what I asked you to now.
You see a lot of it in pitchers in terms of innings. Like, if they get to a certain innings count, they'll get the money. I'm like, wow, can we do something similar with Cody Bellinger? Something that he could control, like home runs and hits and shit like that. Right. So, I mean, I'd be all for it. That'd give him more of an incentive to get paid and do well in that 1 year deal.
Yeah, if there was any way, and again, this is a Bellinger thing, right? And you got to factor in that Scott Boras. Would he want to take that, or would he want just the guaranteed money? If Pittsburgh Pirates, they're my example for some reason.
Because they're just like the first bad team that you think could spend money.
They'd want that, you know, like. But like, if they were to offer him, let's just say 15 mil for 1 year, or the Blue Jays offered him, you get 10 mil for 1 year, but you have these incentives
up to like 20.
You know, I wonder where he would go with that. Like, I do wonder, like, does he trust himself to get those incentives to get a better deal, or
would
like,
you trust yourself if hitting 203 in the last 3 years?
Yeah, you're right. Like, it'd be difficult for sure. It'd be a hard grab.
But I mean, the baseball players, they gotta bet on themselves, man. Especially with your last year of your like rookie deal. Last tweet here that actually has some weight to it. So let me first, before I flash you, go back to the Mike Boba tweet right here.
Can somebody phonetically spell out Boba, please?
Boba.
Like, I don't even know, what is this?
Boba bomb. But anyway, so he said the multi-year deal per source. Now, what time was that? That was at 1:09 this afternoon. This one came out a little bit before.
Okay.
This one's really interesting, guys. Shane Senney, no official like check mark or paid anything. He also says expect to see the Blue Jays sign Cody Bellinger to a multi-year deal in the coming days.
Right.
Here's why it's interesting. This guy right here, Ben Turner, he screenshotted Shane Turner also tweeting, or Shane Senney also tweeting, heads up Blue Jay fans, Toronto Blue Jays will be announcing a 3-year contract extension to manager John Schneider on Friday, which he did, and the Blue Jays did do that. So he has heard something. Okay. He has some sort of inside information.
He's got some sort of credibility. He must, let's face it, I mean, I don't know anything about anybody.
One knows.
And once again, guys, I said it at the beginning, I want to say it again. We do not want to spread misinformation here. We want to bring you guys the news, the facts.
Happening.
We want to talk about what we're seeing here. I'm seeing a guy on Twitter who has struck gold in the past and is now coming out in a conversation that's already been happening and claiming that he knows something.
He was the first one, and then this guy came out with it afterwards.
Right. But also, you know, the John Morosi, like this is a convo that is
it was here
happening,
this morning.
Right? So I think that because you hit pay dirt in the past, you deserve at least a nod of credibility.
Right.
So in that regard, guys, he's saying coming days. I also heard, and I don't know how anybody knows this at all, Thursday was being thrown around. I heard like somebody say Thursday he's gonna get signed.
Yeah. Also, like, guys in our Discord, not gonna say the guy's name, but someone was throwing out in our Discord. I should probably I'm gonna throw the link in our description in just a moment, like once we have a lull period. But someone knows someone in the organization who's told them things that are true in the past, saying by Friday we should have some sort of decision at least about Cody Bellinger.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Wow. So that does say quite a bit there, guys. Multi-year deal.
Yeah. What do you think?
Cody Bellinger. What is the AAV, average annual value?
Yeah.
What does it need to be? Assuming, because obviously ideal scenario right here is, hey, we have some, you know, club options and we make it whatever we want to make it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But let's be realistic here. What does the average annual value need to be if we were to get locked into a 3-year deal with Bellinger? Or a 3-year or 2-year or whatever it is?
Again, I don't think he would ever sign a 2-year, 3-year because his average annual value is so low right now. He'd want to increase it. But
so I'm taking a little bit of credibility away from our buddy Senney over here.
It'd have to be like 8. It has to be like 8. That's probably the most I could
like
go.
Like 324? Yeah. 3 years, 24 million?
Which actually kind of looks not bad.
Not bad.
Upside.
Not actually bad.
Years old.
You know, like because that's something where it's like if you did suck, we could eat it, and I'd be like, okay, like that's bad, and like that's dead money now, but it's not much dead money.
It's not going to cripple the rest of your roster.
Us. But that's again, like that's just it's a deal where it's like it seems too heavily weighted to one side. Yeah. And if I'm Bellinger, I don't think so. Shout out here to Regal. Oh my gosh, it's going so fast I can't really see. The Thayer Curran. Don't know how to say your last name. $6.99 donation right there. Thank you so much for your donation. Regal saying here, I don't want Nimmo too much injury risk. Jays should consider trading for Ketel Marte or go all in on Brian Reynolds and David Bednar. Thank you for the dono once again.
Thank you, my friend.
So Ketel Marte, just to quickly touch on that, I don't think he's going anywhere, guys. We've been down this road. We've talked about it. I don't think it's going to happen. The David Bednar and the Brian Reynolds thing, I don't want to derail us too much from the Cody Bellinger conversation, but the Brian Reynolds and David Bednar conversation, that is absolutely a deal and a package where I'd be good with offering up a Moreno in that situation. I would be good with sending over some guys. If you can get a locked-in, elite, bullpen arm and also fill your need at outfield with the left-handed hitter.
That would solve everything.
It would literally solve all the problems. And then, honestly, because we just made this podcast, so you guys aren't privy to this information, but that's when you then go and you sign Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
You do a deal like that, and you sign Rodon. Boom. We win off season.
Love it. But Cody Bellinger, I know you guys have a lot of thoughts, and we'll definitely want to pick your guys' brains apart. But final thoughts. What do you think? How high are you willing to go?
So for me, frankly, I think the highest that I'd do if it was multi-year would be a 3-year, $30 million. That's final offer, Cody. I'm not going higher than that. but I do prefer to have a 1 year, 10 million or whatever it is, a 1 year whatever, because who cares? It's 1 year. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But we need to lock in. It's like you're a guy.
Yeah.
And I also need to kind of just put an asterisk next to this is if we do this, then great. We're not in on the Brandon Nimmo conversation anymore. You're our man. Well, guess what? Now I want us in on the Carlos Rodon conversation.
Right.
I want us in on the Justin Verlander
Justin
conversation.
Verlander.
Like if we're not going to spend the big bucks on Brandon Nimmo, that's fine with me because offense has never been the problem.
Exactly.
But then be in that conversation.
Right. And a lot of people say, I want to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people say, oh, well, we traded Teo for a guy who hasn't proven it in 4 years, who's literally hits like Bradley Zimmer. Like, that's a big L. Do you think it's a big L?
For the Teo trade.
Like that whole situation. Trading Teo for a bullpen and a prospect and then signing in Bellinger. Is that whole transaction there an L? Do we lose?
So once again, I think there's other variables in there. I really like the bullpen guy. I like the prospect dude. I do think that, just on paper from what we've seen, Teoscar Hernandez greater than Cody Bellinger, 100%.
With the bat. Defensively, Bellinger is better, but
still, definitely greater than sign. But if you could also then swing a deal where you can get another starting pitcher, which maybe you couldn't have when you had Teoscar Hernandez, maybe you couldn't have done that, then I start to lean more in that realm of things. I start to look at that.
Yeah, like for me, if you were just looking at the Teo, and we bring back Bellinger, obviously we send enough money to Bellinger and the bullpen arm and the prospect, seems pretty equal.
Right.
It doesn't seem like we're winning, but it feels like, and I've been saying this for time, you're moving your assets into the areas which need help.
Right.
We had so much hitting asset. And we have tons of hitting asset coming up too. I mean, just Elvis Martinez and Moreno. Those are some big hitting assets. So it feels like we're doing the right thing here and moving into the bullpen and maybe freeing up some money and go get some pitching.
Yeah.
I love it.
Guys, this is where we're going to cap it for those of you who are watching this after the fact. We are currently live right now. We got 330 people in here right now. So we are obviously going to be taking your questions, looking at some other Blue Jays rumors and stuff like that. So if you missed this live, I'm sorry. This is where the stream ends. You definitely make sure to hit that notification button and subscribe so you can see these things live when they happen. But obviously, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much. And for you guys,
go Jays, go!